Mark, you're in the middle of a busy run at the moment, midweek games, Saturday games. Obviously it takes its toll on the squad a bit as well.
Well, we haven't had them yet, so I'll be able to answer that more clearer once we have them, but we'd rather have the opportunity to play West Ham at home next week than not play them, so I think it's a positive.
When you look at Tuesday briefly, and I know you talked to Rob about it after the game, but just seeing Oshin and Jovan getting their opportunities is great for the business model of the club, but it's a difficult balance, isn't it? Because you as a manager judged on performances, and a player who's probably 5-6 years away from his peak is not necessarily immediately in your thinking.
No, brilliant question. The problem, I suppose, the game on Tuesday at Derby, I thought the lads were outstanding. I thought Jovan and Osh, but I thought man for man, as in our players, I thought they were all excellent. Jay Ben looked like his loan had done him really good, and I won't bore and go to everybody, but we take the cup competitions very seriously. I do try and be as strong as I can go. Clearly the injuries we've had a huge effect on what we did the other night, but I just don't give minutes to people who don't deserve them, warrant them, or we don't believe can do the club and themselves justice. And although you're going into a little bit of the unknown, we really expected Jovan to look good, we really expected Jay to look good, we really expected Oshin to look good, and they did. And it doesn't always work like that, but I was just pleased for them more than anybody that they did. But in that game the other night, we've had just too many setbacks. We just can't afford to lose any more players, and it doesn't mean that those guys are not going to play for us, because I think we'll show you they will at the right times, and if we need them on Saturday, I'd have no problem starting Joe on if I had to. But also sometimes it's to alleviate the pressure and pain on other people as well, and it's an opportunity for those guys to show us that they can be trusted. They are, and I mean trusted really, really respectfully. We do trust them, but you just don't know. And even having watched the game back, it was as good as I thought it was on the night. We're here to win games. If I don't win games, as with all managers, you lose your job. And I made it clear to the players before the game that I picked a team. I said to them, guys, do you know what happens if I lose games? I get sacked. So I don't put a team out and think, we'll take it. If there's no free hits, I have to win games of football. And that's what we tried to do tonight with the team available to us.
And you mentioned Jay Ben. Nice to have a chance to see how he's developing, as you say, because he's obviously not out of mind, but he's out of sight a little bit.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. The reason I'm pausing, because I was going to say to you, look, if Jay Ben was in the building, he'd be really pushing Lass hard for sure. And I say Lass because Lass has got the jersey at the minute, but the reason he's playing so well, because then somebody will turn around and say, well, why isn't he in the building? The reason he's playing so well is because of his loan. That's the reason we got a performance like we did the other day with Jay, is because he's having an outstanding loan at Solihull. He's playing every week, the top of the league. They're clearly a very, very good side, and he's getting a chance to expose himself and stretch himself. My guess is if he'd have stayed with us and not played any games and had a bit part to play, if that's the way it panned out, because Lass has done well, I don't think you get the performance you get from him. So it's the idea and the principle behind why he's on loan is correct, and that's what we get in return. And hopefully, if he continues to do what he does, it may get to a point where we can say, right, we need you back in now, because we believe you're going to play in the first team.
With the injuries you've got, it's easy to feel sorry for yourself, isn't it, as a manager, and think, woe is me, but it's something that all managers have to deal with, isn't it?
That's life. You won't hear me complain about that. I apologise if I'm asked a question, I'll answer it respectfully. We had a team meeting today, post game, and I said to him, I don't want to hear Tyler's out, Ben's out, Danny Mandrew got injured on Friday before, Carlisle, Rico wasn't about. I said, I don't want to hear anything. We've got a squad, that's what you're all here for. One man's loss is another man's game. Most players, I would imagine, especially when they're young, get their opportunities through a gap or something.
So that's how you got in, wasn't it?
If you're young and you play young, most people, even the outstanding ones that were miles better than I could ever dream to be, it will still probably come through a fortuitous situation.
Have you done much work in terms of setup? Are you looking at tweaking things slightly with not having the availability of Ben and Tyler? I'm
definitely not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell anybody that. If all managers and social media guys, everybody's trying to get small percentages, sees what people do. So I'm never going to come on camera before a game and tell John what we're going to do or give him an indication of what we're going to do. It was interesting when I spoke to Paul after the game at Derby, who I have to say is a hugely impressive guy. He thought we were going to be full strength for his reasons, and he expected us to go all out. And when I explained to him why we changed things and made changes, well, actually I really get that. So the last thing I want to do is give somebody a helping hand.
So do you have the others monitoring what they say on interviews to see if there's anything that comes?
Do you know what? At the risk of contradicting myself, by saying no, I don't do that personally. I don't, because I try and heavily focus on myself, and I don't want to get sidetracked with potentially there's plenty out there who play mind games and various different things. I know what the other staff do. A large part of me is like, I don't want to hear it. I just always want to focus on us while doing our homework and being respectful, but I know I'm probably in a minority with that, I would guess.
It won't surprise any of us to know that Regan Poole has played a lot of football since joining Portsmouth. He was excellent for you. There was no dip from him towards the end of his contract at Lincoln City. I guess before the game and after the game, nice to see him, and you hope he has a stinker when he's playing against you. Great guy, really impressive. I don't wish bad luck on anybody. I'm just not like that. If Regan's outstanding on Saturday, good luck to him. If he has a bad game, that's not my problem, essentially. Real stand-up guy, outstanding person, player, professional, character. And you know, the one thing I loved about Regan was when he was 2 or 3 games away from looking for that move away for multiple reasons, you know, he really continually put his body on the line and led, but he was just an outstanding captain for us. And when I got to know Regan, I didn't expect anything less from him, but you couldn't help but think in the background, if he does take his foot off the gas, because he may not want to get injured, he may not want to jeopardise that potential move, but he just really put his body on the line, celebrated with lads. We had a great clip towards the end of the season where somebody got a block in really high up the pitch, and Regan's high-fiving Jack up beside him, and like the season was pretty much finished, and it just said a lot about him. And also for those that haven't seen him, you know, he's been outstanding for Pompey this year, so be really nice to see him on the day, but we're going to try our best to make it as uncomfortable as we can for him. Portsmouth have made an excellent start. The league table tells you they have. Somebody told me this the other day, and I had to point back that you actually, for the last 6 games, have exactly the same form here at Lincoln that they have. So it's 2 teams that have made a good start to the season.
Yeah, the top of the league. They're doing really well. I thought they were a very good side last year. We know the additions that they've made this year with the multiple players, with retaining players. John's got a brilliant and well-deserved reputation as a coach. Obviously Rico played under him, so no different to Regan playing under myself, so there may be inside information on that, but an impressive side. When the fixtures come out, if there's an away game you look forward to playing at, it's Pompey, with the fans, the crowd, the history of the club, and I believe at the minute and certainly this year that they're backing up the status that they have as a club, so you know, as tough a game as we can get, but we go into every game believing we can win, and Saturday's no different.